Buckle up because we may just have a Unital Ring game in the works following Sword Online last Recollection. At the SAO Games Strategy Meeting 2023, we received a special animation by Anima Inc. celebrating the 10th anniversary of the SAO Games brand, but two things stood out and made me speculate. Is this an incomplete video, the full version of which we'll get to see in last Recollection in a later update, which will announce a future Unital Ring themed game? So let's talk about it after I tell you about my channel merch. We got Len Squad, The First Day, Kirito, Medina and Eugeo. Check out my Teespring page for hoodies, t-shirts, stickers, and yes, even the First Day poster. Link is down below in the description. Alright, as usual, those who do follow me on Twitter have the context on this one a little earlier, just, putting it out there. Follow me on Twitter or X or whatever Elon decides to name it in the future. The gist of it is, we have received this 10th anniversary celebration video, but there are two things that stand out to me. Admittedly, the second one is a lot more interesting of the two, diving deep into Sword Online and Unital Ring lore, so I'm naturally leaving that second one for later in the video. And yes, I know last Recollection is supposed to be the end of the Gameverse, but Alicization Licorice was also the supposed end of the SAO Gameverse according to all those statements and interviews, and it turned out last Recollection not only existed, but was already in development by the time that was constantly being told, so I find it more than justifiable to theorize given the circumstances, and I'll be honest, overanalyzing lore stuff is just fun because especially with Japanese products, a lot of attention goes into these details. So first off, the video feels a little incomplete in numerous aspects. It feels like a video that's been edited together, not because there are literally clips from older games, that's fine, but because it does not have its own flow or narrative. It does not feel like a continuous video that's telling you something, but rather clips stitched back to back in a somewhat random order, let's say. What's even more noticeable is that they clearly have a theme going, showing all characters one by one, but it's not quite all characters. We got Asuna in the log cabin, followed by Straya and then Philia from Hollow Fragment, then Premiere and Tia from Hollow Realization, but suddenly every other character just gets a 2D render instead. If it was just the mobile game characters, I could understand to a certain extent, but no Seven and Rain from Lost Song, Kuren, Zeliska and Itsuki from Fatal Bullet, and Medina from Licorice as 3D scenes. They just appear alongside Koharu from Integral Factor, Edith from Unleashed Blading, and Layla from Variant Showdown as 2D cardboard cutout renders. Back during the 5th anniversary celebrations animated by A1 Studios, link is gonna be in the description for that one, every character was prominently featured with iconic scenes they had in the series, and I cannot see them not giving these characters an equal treatment for a celebratory video for this 10th anniversary. I'd imagine they would have their own scenes if my assumption of this being an incomplete edit is correct, of course. And would you look at that, right after those 2D cuts, we also have a single moment with Alice but not Eugeo. All the more reason to be suspicious because if anything, if I had to pick one change that makes the Gameverse stand out from the main series SAO, it's that Eugeo stays alive. But maybe it's just wishful thinking to see more of the amazing animation, causing me to nitpick about it feeling incomplete. So why don't we look into the actual imagery that's used, tying it into SAO and Unital Ring lore? Well, you see, the video opens up with an egg-shaped thing descending in front of Kirito that once touched causes countless other eggs to appear, and then we see all these eggs orbiting around the main source of light that Kirito is walking towards. Do you know what these quote-unquote eggs are? Because you have absolutely seen the exact imagery before in the main series, no less. Those eggs are the backbone of the entire Sword Online series, what made every single event happen, eventually leading into the climax that is Alicization, and then bloom even beyond. You can see the egg during the speech Kayaba has with Kirito at the end of the Fairy Dance arc. The soul egg is the inception point of everything, the seed, as much of it as it existed back then at least. And the eggs you see in this video is the Seed Nexus, as it is called, the ecosystem that allows conversion between all the games made via the seed, orbiting around the source of light, their source of existence of course, what has bloomed into something more as Kayaba intended, so to say. The one that descends upon Kirito symbolizes Sword Online, of course, the inception point of everything that spawns all these other worlds one after the other: Alfheim Online, Gangale Online, Asuka Empire, Apocalyptic Date, Insect Sight, and dozens of other games using the Seed at their core, creating the web that is known as the Seed Nexus. Now you're probably asking, whoop-de-doo, a bunch of game worlds orbiting around the game engine. What does any of that have to do with teasing Unital Ring? Well, let's move further in the video, shall we? The character scenes we get, they show characters in their original world and place every single one of their movements create ripples across the world. Asuna is in the log cabin, looking around with a lot of sadness. Strea is walking the streets like her first appearance. Philia in the hollow area forest. Premiere and Tia praying as the twin goddesses, and Alice is reaching out to something in shock. All characters, in fact, they show a very sour mood except for Strea, but then again, Strea is a character who can cheerfully smile even when she's dying, so nothing unusual there. She'd just continue strolling casually even if the world was crumbling apart. Everyone else though, they all appear quite worried, and that is more or less exactly what happens at the beginning of Unital Ring. All worlds crumble apart and merge into Unital Ring, but let's go further. Then we have this section featuring a bunch of old clips from previous games, and what got my attention here is that all of these clips are character moments from those games, except for one, from Hollow Realization. We have additional clips that are not character moments from Hollow Realization specifically. The one showcasing the Great Separation, the event that ripped pieces of the earth from the ground, lifted them up into the air, and created the 100 floors that we know as Aincrad. Now, why is this bit interesting, you may ask? Because in Unital Ring, it has come to Argo and Kirito's attention that the world has these huge circle shapes multiple kilometers in diameter that matches the rough size of each floor in Aincrad, as if huge chunks were ripped from the game world, and that realization is the inception of the theory that Unital Ring's world is in fact the ground that was laid underneath Aincrad. So seeing the Great Separation just before the ominous shot of Alice reaching out in shock, it is indeed ominous to say the least. But to top it all off, the special animation featurette gave us one last standout clip that is very reminiscent of something in Alicization itself. The Alicization anime openings showed us Alice with real-world imagery quite often. War of Underworld Opening 1 had the real-world reflections on the puddle, and Opening 2 was much less subtle than that. It literally had Alice in the real world. This not only was a literal spoiler, but was also giving us a hint of beyond Alicization when it came to SAO. In this special animation, we are given Dorothy in the middle of a typical crossing in the real world instead. They are basically giving us a look into beyond Alicization in the SAO Gameverse with this specific shot of Dorothy. I can go, of course, a little bit further with Kirito walking towards the Seed Nexus and the light in the middle, how it can be interpreted as reaching for the heavenly light, as Unital Ring readers will recognize that specific wording, but I feel like that's a bit too much on the nose and specific regarding Unital Ring to be a tease or anything. He's just heading towards the amalgamation of the Seed Nexus is a better takeaway. You know, if I were to go that deep, I may as well go on and say that Kirito and Asuna are gonna die, because this imagery is very much on the nose as well. But either way, let's come back to the main topic. If all I'm saying ends up being correct, what do I actually expect? How do I expect us to receive this proper footage and proper reveal? Well, we had a very similar case back in Fatal Bullet, where the final free DLC, Mask of the Abyss, had a surprise locked behind clearing all the 50th floor dungeon. The players who cleared the 50th floor were given a special trailer for the then upcoming Alicization Licorice to enjoy. And back during a quite recent developer interview for Last Recollection, link is gonna be in the description for the full Q&A, they mentioned that they had no plans for further paid DLC sequels at the moment for Last Recollection, and the two bed scene DLCs that we have announced so far, they do not appear to be sequels, but they did mention that they may do free DLC stuff. What a coincidence. So my expectation is basically just that. Later down the line, beyond the bed scene DLCs, we'll have a free update for Last Recollection, likely adding an endless dungeon. You know, it's kind of a tradition at this point that all SAO games do for replayability, and we'll get the full version of this special animation down the line after completing the challenge, which will reveal the Unital Ring game. That's all I got for you, and remember, this is all a very extensive and generally quite reaching speculation, assuming the end of the gameverse statement once again holds no value like before, so take it with a huge mountain of salt. A lot of things can make sense if they are carefully connected with a given context. That is what I did here. It does not mean that they will end up actually being true. This is just theory crafting after all. If I see any of you lot going around on Twitter claiming Gamerturk has confirmed Unital Ring game, I will personally call you out for being dum-dums. Don't be dum-dums, please. Don't forget to check out the merch on my Teespring page. Link is gonna be down below in the description. Leave your questions if you have any down below, and I'll do my best to answer all of them. You know, make sure to like the video as well while you scroll down there. Subscribe for more. It always helps the channel. A huge thanks to all my channel members and patrons, and as always, stay cool.